It was supposed to be a simple viral video, but it ended in a federal courtroom. When a 14-year-old dragged a top-tier influencer to court for theft, nobody expected the judge to say this. We have the court transcript that bankrupts his entire career. Today, we are looking at the real timeline of the heist that took down an empire, the deleted evidence that the legal team tried to suppress, and the massive industry fallout that is currently sending shockwaves through every talent agency in Los Angeles. This isn't just a case of inspiration gone wrong. This is the story of how a titan of the creator economy thought he was untouchable until he met a teenager who kept every single receipt. The level of entitlement we are seeing in this case is unprecedented, and the documents we have obtained show a pattern of behavior that goes back years. This was never an accident. It was a calculated business move that backfired in the most public way possible. Now, before we get into the timeline they're trying to scrub, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. The mainstream media is currently being paid to bury this story, but I'm showing you the receipts they deleted and the context they're too scared to post. Don't let the PR spin win. Join the drip right now. Look at the timestamp on this deleted IG story from August 14th at 3:14 p.m., just minutes after the original video went live. This is the first piece of evidence that the influencer's legal team tried to claim never existed. In this story, you can clearly see the influencer's secondary monitor in the background, and if you zoom in, the 14-year-old creator's editing timeline is visible. This wasn't a coincidence. This was a frame-by-frame lift. This metadata doesn't lie, and it proves that the influencer was studying the original content long before he claimed he had the idea himself. To understand how a multi-million-dollar empire crumbled over a 60-second clip, we have to look at the power dynamic that exists in the current creator landscape. On one side, we have an influencer who has spent the last 5 years building a brand based on authenticity and hustle culture. He has the cars, the mansion, and the massive production team. On the other side, we have a middle schooler working on a hand-me-down laptop in his bedroom who happened to innovate a new style of visual storytelling that the algorithm absolutely loved. When the influencer saw the engagement numbers on the kid's post, he didn't reach out for a collaboration. He didn't offer a shout-out or a licensing fee. According to a source close to the influencer's management team, the order was given to recreate it, but better. This is where the industry plant logic comes into play. Most people believe these big influencers are solo acts, but they are actually backed by massive venture capital and PR machines that operate like mini studios. They saw a trend they didn't own, and they decided to seize it. They didn't just recreate the video, they copied the exact pacing, the specific color grade, and even the unique sound design that the 14-year-old had spent weeks perfecting through trial and error. When the kid noticed, he did what any Gen Z creator would do. He left a polite comment on the influencer's post. That comment was deleted within 60 seconds. He sent a respectful DM asking for credit. He was immediately blocked. This was the first major mistake. The influencer and his team thought they could silence a kid with no resources, but they didn't realize that this teenager had a digital paper trail that would eventually become the foundation of a federal lawsuit. The second revelation in this investigation involves the ignored cease and desist. Most people think the lawsuit started in court, but it actually started in the DMs of the influencer's manager. We have obtained an email exchange where the manager explicitly tells the influencer to ignore the legal threats, calling the 14-year-old a clout chaser with no budget for a real lawyer. They banked on the idea that a teenager wouldn't have the stamina for a federal battle. This arrogance is exactly what the judge pointed out during the discovery phase of the trial. They treated a minor as a nuisance rather than a victim of intellectual property theft. This brings us to the biggest industry secret of the entire case. Revelation number 1 is the fact that the influencer's management team didn't just ignore the theft, they actively coached him on how to gaslight the public. We have seen internal memos where the strategy was to claim the influencer had pioneered this style years ago and that the 14-year-old was actually the one copying him. This is a classic David versus Goliath tactic. They tried to flip the narrative to make the victim look like the predator. They even went as far as to have their bot farm report the original video for copyright infringement, briefly getting the kid's account suspended. This level of malice is what turned a simple civil dispute into a career-ending catastrophe. When the kid's parents realized what was happening, they didn't back down. They found a pro bono attorney who specializes in digital intellectual property and who saw the blatant unfairness of the situation. The discovery process was a bloodbath for the influencer's team. They were forced to turn over internal Slack channels and WhatsApp messages. One message in particular, sent from the influencer to his lead editor, read literally, "Just make it look exactly like the kids' version, but add my face to the thumbnail." That single text message destroyed any defense of independent creation. When they finally got to court, the atmosphere was incredibly tense. The influencer showed up in a $3,000 suit, surrounded by 4 lawyers from a top-tier firm. The 14-year-old showed up with his parents and a single lawyer. The turning point came when the judge asked the influencer to explain the coincidence of the identical sound design. The influencer stumbled, claiming it was a trending audio that everyone was using. The judge then revealed the transcript where the sound engineer admitted the audio was ripped directly from the kid's YouTube channel using a third-party downloader. It was at this moment the judge looked the influencer in the eye and used the word that would end his career. He called him a thief and stated that his actions were predatory, designed to stifle competition from smaller creators. The judge stated that this wasn't just a copyright infringement, it was a predatory business practice designed to stifle competition from smaller creators. The ruling wasn't just a fine or a slap in the wrist. It was a total seizure of the profits generated by that video and any subsequent brand deals tied to that specific aesthetic. This brings us to revelation number 3, the bankruptcy. Everyone sees the supercars and the mansions on Instagram, but the reality behind the scenes was much darker. This influencer was living on a knife edge of debt. His entire lifestyle was funded by high-interest loans against future brand deals that hadn't even been signed yet. He was a house of cards waiting for a breeze. When the court ordered him to pay 7 figures in damages and legal fees, the house of cards collapsed instantly. Within 48 hours of the verdict, his primary sponsors, including a major energy drink company and a luxury watch brand, dropped him. They didn't just pause their relationship, they scrubbed him from their websites. His talent agency issued a statement saying they are parting ways to focus on creators who align with their values, which is industry speak for "he is toxic and we are running away." By the end of the week, he was filing for Chapter 7 bankruptcy protection. But the story doesn't end with the money. Revelation number 4 is the massive industry fallout we are seeing right now. This case has set a legal precedent that is terrifying every major creator house in the country. For years, the big players have been harvesting ideas from smaller creators without credit, treating the Explore page like a free buffet for their own content mills. This court win proves that inspiration has a legal limit and that digital fingerprints are permanent. We are currently seeing a mass scrubbing of content across TikTok and YouTube as other major influencers realize their most popular videos are vulnerable to similar lawsuits. There are reports of emergency meetings at several talent agencies where lawyers are telling creators to delete anything that could be remotely linked to a smaller creator's original work. The 14-year-old hasn't just won a court case, he has changed the power structure of the internet. He didn't take the settlement money and disappear into the night. He is reportedly using a significant portion of the funds to start a legal defense fund for other young creators who have had their work stolen by major corporations and influencers. He is becoming the very thing the industry feared most, a victim who fought back and won. The influencer who once called him a clout chaser is now reportedly selling his furniture and his high-end camera gear to cover his remaining debt. His social media accounts, once reaching tens of millions, are now digital ghost towns. Every time he tries to post, the comment section is flooded with the word thief. This is the ultimate price of being exposed. In the world of influencer marketing, your reputation is your only currency. Once you lose the trust of the audience and the respect of your peers, the money stops flowing. The mainstream media might be trying to frame this as an unfortunate misunderstanding or a simple legal dispute, but the court transcripts tell a much more sinister story. They tell a story of a predatory industry that finally met its match in a kid who knew how to use the save button and who wasn't afraid of a bully with a large follower count. Industry insiders say this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are currently 3 other major lawsuits in the works involving the same management group that represented the influencer. These lawsuits allege similar patterns of theft and intimidation. The thief label has stuck,
and it is spreading to everyone who was involved in the cover-up. As we look at the wreckage of this influencer's career, we have to ask if the hype house era of content creation is finally over. The era where you could fake it until you make it, even if making it meant taking from someone else. The judge's final remarks in the courtroom serve as a warning to everyone with the blue checkmark. He made it clear that a platform does not put you above the law, and your follower count does not give you ownership over someone else's creativity or hard work. The industry fallout continues as we speak, with more receipts being leaked every hour by former employees who are no longer afraid of their non-disclosure agreements. These employees are coming forward with stories of how they were forced to steal ideas and how the influencer would laugh about taking advantage of kids who didn't know any better. The influencer's deleted posts are being archived by thousands of people, ensuring that even if he tries to make a comeback in a few years, the record will remain. This isn't something that can be fixed with a scripted apology video or a donation to charity. This is a fundamental shift in how we view digital ownership. The kid who started this all is still making videos, but now he has the resources to protect himself. He is a symbol of a new generation of creators who understand their value and who are willing to fight for it in a system that was built to exploit them. The era of the untouchable influencer is dying, and it was a 14-year-old who pulled the plug. The fallout from this case will be felt for years as the legal system catches up to the reality of the digital age. Every major influencer is now on notice. If you steal, if you lie, and if you try to bury the truth, the receipts will eventually find their way to the surface. The drip doesn't stop, and neither does the truth. This influencer thought he was a king, but he was just a tenant in a house built on stolen property. Now the rent is due, and he has nothing left to pay with. The final lesson here is simple. Respect the creators who come before you, regardless of their age or their follower count, because the internet never forgets, and the law is finally starting to listen. The industry is changing, and for the first time in a long time, the little guys are the ones holding all the power.